What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of Bill and Ted Face the Music. Excellent! First off, I have a few things that I want to tell you about my opinions of the franchise just briefly before we get into it. I am a fan of the franchise. I enjoyed the first movie and the second movie. I grew up on these movies and I enjoy them, so that is going to be my opinion moving forward. Bill and Ted Face the Music is a movie that has been almost 30 years since the last one came out. It's been a long time, and a lot of excitement and questions have arisen from some of the trailers and, the lore and things like that. This movie is directed by Dean Parasot, who I believe I'm saying his name correctly. Forgive me if I have not. He's the director of Galaxy Quest. And we also have writers Chris Matheson and Ed Solomon that return, who wrote the original scripts for both of the first movies. So great idea, by the way. The story, of course, is Bill and Ted are middle-aged men now. It's been 30 years, and they haven't written the song that will unite the world. And that seems to be quite the problem. Meanwhile, their children, Billy and Thea, go to help them as well. And so begins Bill and Ted Face the Music. Now, I enjoyed this movie quite a bit, but I will say that I have some nostalgia for the first two films, and there are some people that did not like the second Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, which I enjoyed and I still think is a fun ride, and I watch it every time I watch the first one. So this will be added in that third one. I think it fits with this whole story, obviously, because it's all interconnected, and it seems like the writers sort of wanted to mix a little bit from the first movie in with the second movie. Obviously, characters from both, situations from both, and obviously humor making fun of themselves and all the characters in these stories as well, which are really pretty funny many of the times. The movie does start off a little slow. It's not a laugh a second, kind of movie. It is quirky, zany, like you would expect from the Bill and Ted franchise. I will say that seeing Keanu in this role again is a little weird, and it is a little jarring at first, but you get used to it after a little while. Seeing him play John Wick and shooting people indiscriminately in the face a million times sort of does that.
I got a full-on robot chubby.
As you did when you probably saw Jim Carrey act seriously for the first time, when he's so over the top. It's just that kind of jarring thing, and you will be, of course, probably fighting with that a little bit if you're anything like me. A lot of the same characters return for this movie, as I mentioned before. We get to see a lot of new characters as well, so it's kind of a balance and a mix of the two. Some of the new characters actually really did work, and I think were really funny. I thought, oh man, why aren't these characters more like crazy or something like that? But then I realized just how crazy Bill and Ted and their antics and seeing their kids and everything like that really was a lot. I mean, you got Samara Weaving playing Thea, you have Bridget Lundy Payne playing Billy, and it was a little different for me to see that. Although I will say that Bridget Lundy Payne probably did a better version of Keanu than Keanu himself. That's all I'll say on that. Which is crazy to say, I know, but it is very youthful in that sense. I really thought it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I think people who are not fans of the second Bill and Ted movie, Bogus Journey, you're probably going to have a little bit of an issue with this film, but there are some things in there for fans of the first one as well, and I think they did a pretty decent job of marrying the two and still trying to recover from a 29-year gap. I mean, you have to give them some leeway, and the fact that they even pulled it off in any regard is still pretty impressive. There is a ton of talent attached to this film, acting and musicians and just the whole gamut of stuff that you could find in this movie. Does it all work, though? Well, I think it does, for the most part. It's not a perfect film. It's not a movie that I'm like absolutely in love with and I gotta watch this like every year kind of thing. But in the same regard, I am a fan of the first two films, and because of that, it helps to kind of satiate that nostalgia for me. Now, they don't pull any, like, they pull some familiar steps from other movies, but not in the sort of rip-off way. They do tread on some new territory here, which I think will be surprising and fun for the viewer. So I think you guys will enjoy that. The struggle of me seeing Keanu back in that role and sort of getting the vibe again did take a lot longer than I expected. But I don't think that's necessarily their fault. It's probably more so my own fault for how I perceive John Wick and everything like that. And Samara Weaving, I was surprised. I like her a lot. She's one of my favorite new actresses in the scene, especially in horror. And she's going to be getting so famous. It's going to be crazy. Everybody in the horror community has been following her forever. But she does a great job. But I still think it was a little bit of a weird pill to swallow for her part. And if you've seen the movie, I don't know, do you agree with me? I'd love to know. One new role that's thrown into this movie is pretty funny stuff, and the way they bounce off each other really kind of worked. I won't say anything about what happens in the movie, of course, or what that character is, but you'll just have to see it for yourself. By the end of the movie, you know, it does die down a little bit, but I think the message there is actually pretty strong. I wish I could tell you what I think that message is. I mean, it's pretty obvious in my opinion. Think of the end of the second movie and you kind of hope like it would be this big sort of thing, and it kind of fizzles out kind of too quick for me. So the end kind of lost me a little bit there, but in the same regard, I still appreciate its message. I still appreciate its nostalgia effect on me throughout my entire life. Seeing these characters back together is a great thing for me. It was a fun ride. Will it be for everybody though? Probably not. Anybody that's new to the Bill and Ted scene, it might not be for them, but I could be wrong. Just have a feeling that unless you've been following it for a long time, it might miss a lot of that audience. But I still think it's entertaining for those who have not followed along. And if you haven't seen the first two, well, who the fuck are you? What are you doing with your life? At least watch them and then watch this movie. The movie is $20 right now for rental, or $25 to buy digitally. We decided to rent it for $20, but I'm sure a lot of people will probably end up just buying it because it's $5 difference. I would give this movie in particular a 7.5. Maybe an 8, but again, I'm trying to adjust for the nostalgia factor and not let my childhood fantasies carry me over the line here. So while it's not a perfect movie, I think all of the movies in order, the way that they came out, are from best to worst. So Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and then of course, Bill and Ted Face the Music. It all fits together. There's some new fun to be had. And I think if you enjoy both as much as I do, then you will probably enjoy this. I did have quite a few laughs in this film that made me crack up quite a bit. It wasn't as frequent as I was hoping, but it's a creative movie, and I think that Dean was a good directorial choice because I like Galaxy Quest, and I think he was a good choice for it. There is a lot of CGI in this, guys, so you know, but they do still do some practical too, and there's some throwbacks to old sayings and things that they've done. But I think that's pretty much all I have to say on it. I'm glad I watched it. I'm excited that it finally came out, and I am not disappointed. However, it isn't the best movie I've seen this year, and I will still be watching it every time I watch the franchise. But what do you guys think? Honestly, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And if you like this content, please hit the like and subscribe button because it does help me. And let me know in the comments section what you think. Other than that, thank you guys for coming by. Be excellent to each other. And long live the void.